Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking this morning at a book from Oxford University Press. It's John Sprack's new edition, the 13th, of A Practical Approach to Criminal Procedure. This is the book here. It's weighing in quite heavily at 580 odd pages. Great index at the back. For those of you who know this book of old, great appendices. Very useful indexes at the front of the chapters, plus the numbering at the side to find things quickly, and generally in 30 chapters an excellent book. Very much one I treasured when I was a student. Elizabeth and I have written a review on Flickr and the web, and it'll go into some of the journals, but our view on this is that the book hasn't really changed that much, because it is actually the best book that you can have as a student to keep you up to date really with the changes that have taken place very recently within the profession and the procedures. But it's also something that's readable, because the actual practice books for someone new is going to find it extremely difficult to pick some of the threads up. This is where this book comes in, rather than the Archbold and the various other ones, which are very good, but really you do need to start off with something that'll help. We've given it the title, A Mine of Practical Advice for the Criminal Practitioner. Can I say it's useful to me as well as an older practitioner, because things change and I need to keep up to date, and I do find this a simple way of following what's going on. Rumpole of the Bailey was a fiction, as we know, but what the learned author John Sprack says in this valuable and scholarly work is that however delightful he was as a character, Mortimer's masterly creation is actually, for good or ill, a stereotype, totally at odds with the truth, and I'm afraid that is the position. Many today may say, well, who's Rumpole? Because obviously times change and the sell-by date may have gone, although I think he lives on in legal history. So if you're a criminal practitioner, you'll no doubt be very much aware that good old Rumpole is no role model, at least not nowadays. But what you need instead is detailed knowledge of the law, including interpretative case law, both to represent your clients effectively and, of course, to enhance your professional reputation. And that is what we have here. John Sprack's book, as the title indicates, is indeed a practical approach, and it's an important legal gem for the trainee barrister. Now, he taught me when I was at the Intercourt School of Law all those years ago, and I always remembered what he said, and I found the book extremely helpful to go with the comments that he made at that time. It's now in its 13th edition, and it first appeared way back in 1981, so it's obviously been around for a fairly long time now, but it's very helpful. And in the last 3 years, a number of important developments have emerged which I think are very useful for modern practitioners to know about. Sprack cites the growing importance of the Sentencing Council following the Coroners and Justice Act of 2009, with its provisions for anonymous and vulnerable witnesses as well. And then there are the Youth Rehabilitation Orders as set out in the Criminal Justice and Immigration Act of 2008, which came in at the end of 2009. So there's been a flurry of legislation at the end of the last government. There are new versions, of course, of the Criminal Procedure Rules, which OUP publish separately in their Blackstone guides. So do use these areas because they're extremely helpful. In, as I say, just under 600 pages and 30 chapters, it's eminently readable as a volume, and it has provided here an expanded section on confiscation orders, which I think will be of very great interest to many. There are copious tables of cases, as to be expected, and statutes and so forth, and there's a useful index which gets you to the point quite quickly. It's more than just useful, though, I think, because it's essential, because in the final chapter on your practice, which contains any amount of great advice on further research, including practitioners' works, law reports, journals and so on, it also gives online sites and further professional training, because we're always looking to see what is happening within the area that we're involved in. One of them is which is still there, which I think is great, is the sample brief, and I always find that very helpful. It may be amusing in places, but it's deadly serious too. So let me conclude by saying the lawyers as stated on the 15th of December 2010, and in short, it remains a mine of valuable practical and procedural information and advice for criminal practitioners and those just coming to the bar. So thank you to John, and thank you very much to OUP for continuing to publish it. Bye bye for now.